New details just released about the identity of the person found wrapped in plastic discovered in the trunk of a singer's car. We're breaking down the latest and where the investigation stands. New details just released about the identity of the person found wrapped in plastic discovered in the trunk of a singer's car. We're breaking down the latest and where the investigation stands now, as the singer's rep maintains that he
Hello,
fully
Richard.
cooperated
How are
with
you?
the investigation. Thanks for joining us on Law and Time. I'm Elizabeth Miller. Investigators say the remains were of a 15-year-old girl who was reported missing last year. But even with the
15-year-old
clue that
girl
this
missing
group
last
was
year.
keeping tight-lipped if they have a suspect or a person of interest. Earlier this month, employees at a tow yard in Hollywood noticed a strong odor coming from one of the cars. The smell was so strong and foul, he had no choice but to call police. When officers arrived, the staff came to startling discovery of the body was wrapped in plastic and dumped in the vehicle's trunk. When investigators dug into who that car belonged to, they learned it was registered to the singer David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke. Officials say that the car was towed from the Hollywood Hills after someone
Yeah, it's
reported it
raining. It's
missing.
been a while. Like
Investigators
it's a
believe the
long
body was
day.
put in the trunk about
That what is
5 days
this?
before
Like it's raining and there's no electricity.
now,
And
initially, we didn't know much, including who was the victim. Did the victim have ties to the singer? Was the singer a person of interest or a suspect? We're still waiting to learn more, but now investigators reportedly identified who the victim is. We're learning this week that the Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiner ID'd the victim as a 15-year-old girl named Celeste Reba. According to LAPD, the victim was 5'2", had wavy hair, and a tattoo on her right index finger
oh,
that says "Shh." She was found wearing a two-top black leggings, an earring, and a yellow metal chain bracelet. According to a report by P&G, though, the singer David also had that exact same tattoo on his right index finger. But that doesn't necessarily equal murder suspect. It might be an odd coincidence, especially with other celebrities like Lindsay Lohan, Briana, and Lily Allen sporting the same tattoo. Here's what else we know about 15-year-old Celeste. Her mom told local reporters she had been missing for more than a year. Her mom
yeah. I
said
will
when
have
she
to
saw the
open my
news, the
parcel
body
this
found
time
in the
so that
Cadillac,
you will
it was
know.
suspicious to her because her daughter's boyfriend's name was also David. Little was known at this time about the events leading up to Celeste going missing. According to a missing poster, she was last seen on April 5th of 2024 in Lake Elsinore, California. That was when she was 13 years old. She was last seen wearing gray pants, a black sweater, hats, and Hello Kitty sandals. Attorneys for the singer say that he continues to cooperate with the investigation. While authorities haven't publicly said that he is a suspect,
Hello,
that hasn't
Cassie.
stopped some people from jumping to their own conclusions.
Nice to meet
Some people
you.
live fans pointed to David's previous songs as some kind of clues or messages, like Romantic Homicide, for example. His lyrics include, "In the back of my mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true. I hate you." Now, that song was released in 2022, 2 years before Celeste went missing and 3 years before her body was discovered. But
Oh,
again, it didn't stop some people from speculating.
hello.
Then
Good
in another report
morning.
from P&G
Well,
released
I do
Wednesday,
have
the
some
singer
parcel
suspected work with
from
someone named
what is
Celeste in an
this?
unrelated song.
Timo.
According to
And
police,
of
David
course,
released tracks
you'll be the
repeatedly
first
wearing
one to
both
see it,
Celeste and
right?
Lily Allen's tattoos
And
on his chest. Smell his clothes like cigarettes. I hear her voice each time I take a breath after sex. The other version police released, "Oh Celeste, afraid you'll only love me when you go. Then you can't enjoy the things you got. Missing you so much makes me depressed, but I digress because." Now, according to the report, that song was released in December 2022, a month before Celeste was officially reported missing. In its attempt to make a confirmation, Celeste's release song was the same Celeste found in the car. Companies like Crocs and Hollister pulled in marketing campaigns
yeah, I
after
got
Celeste
some
body was
skirt.
discovered too. In a joint statement, the brand wrote, "We are aware of this developing
And
story. With respect to the current situation, we have removed campaign content featuring David
this
while the
one,
investigation continues."
right?
According to a previous report by TMZ, it was
Would Would you like to see
that there
you
was a
you
body
see it?
inside the Tesla because he had no idea what was going on. But it's just unclear how the car registered to him ended up in a tow lot if it wasn't even reported missing. Again, the singer's rep says that he has been cooperating, but we learned today he's pausing his current world tour. According to TMZ, he was supposed to head to stage in Seattle for a concert, but sources told the outlet that concert was canceled, and the rest of his tour is on pause. Following the latest in the investigation, ABC7 Eyewitness News reports the house close to where the
Oh,
Tesla was
thank you.
abandoned was searched. Dozens of investigators were reportedly seen taking a computer and other
Yeah,
items
because like
in the hallway.
my
Some
um
homeowners told
I
police
gained
that he
weight, of
remembered seeing that
course,
Tesla for
when
a
your
while,
mama
but the front of
already,
the house was
and
investigators searched or at
know,
other spots on the same street.
what is this? Your
We deserve the best when
uh
we put in all
I
the
am
effort,
34 years old,
especially our
right?
standards. Here again and again,
Got
I
one
choose
child,
Pure corned beef.
so that's
Every
it.
can, an expertly crafted masterpiece. 100% pure beef with juicy beefy goodness, ensuring quality you trust and the taste you love. Yan ang binabalik-balikan ko. Para sa akin,
Mm-hmm.
the best pa rin.
This one it's kind of like
Choose
Pocahontas,
Pure
right?
corned beef, the pure standard. These bugs are less than 2,000 pesos, but have features that make you pounds or more expensive model. Triple ANC mode, 50-hour battery life, and weight that you barely feel. Free. But as of this report, he isn't named as a suspect. No criminal charges have been filed against him. So the mystery and investigation continue. I'm joined now by retired FBI agent Colin Smith. Colin, thank you so much for joining me. What's your reaction to this latest development as the medical examiner says that the body found in the trunk was a 15-year-old girl?
Well, it looks like it's a terrible, terrible tragedy for that 15-year-old girl's family, obviously the victim, and the fact that she was found in his trunk, it indicates that there's some level of foul play with this, and it's only going to get more interesting and probably more tragic as the story comes out.
I think probably the biggest part of the story is that the
Is it
car
good?
was found and registered to a very popular
Yeah.
singer. And we know that the singer is cooperating with the investigation, and officials haven't named him as a suspect
What?
or persons of interest. But in your opinion, with the information that we know now, do you think that he has anything to do with it?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is for whoever did this, a Tesla is nothing more than a rolling supercomputer. So it's
Is
going to
this
have all kinds of
third
information
century
in there
building?
when the engineers
Emma,
get
are
in to
you
get all the
okay? Maybe you're in the
examiners know exactly what happened in a very short
channel.
period of time. And then the fact that there's
Okay.
the decedent and this rapper, it's only going to get more interesting, like I said, as far as what really happened.
I think we see kind of the circumstances as we're learning more because the victim's
Yeah, I'll
mom
just
even
really
told
hide
police that
here.
she got suspicious it was her daughter because her daughter also had a boyfriend named David. He
I
made
know,
her
you
have
know what?
terrible.
I hide that woman, her name is, you know, there and try to say bad things about me. Like, is this like the, old building and sort? Like, what? Yes, I am poor.
Well,
And
unfortunately,
so,
in violent crime, there's no such
is
thing
it
as coincidence.
nice?
It's
All right.
coincidence is actual circumstantial evidence. So
And
all
then
these data points are
I
starting
got
to
second
point
outfit.
towards this rapper. We don't know what his role was, and with if indeed he did have anything to do with it, but it does appear that there's
Look.
some sort of culpability that this rapper is going to have with this girl's death.
And where does the investigation or investigators really go from here? They know the identity of the victim.
I will have to do the workouts that I don't have belly.
The most important piece of evidence is the body. The body tells the entire story. So, as I
I'll have to
understand
fit
it from
this for
social
you.
media, that the medical examiner has not finished their investigation, and then the next step of that would be obviously the toxicology reports, which take a couple of weeks to get back, and then that's going to point the investigators in the direction of where to take their next steps, as well as the search of the interior of the compartment that she was found in and the passenger compartment, because if there was any blood or any signs of foul play or violence, then that obviously points into a direction that they need to go.
And what's going to be more important to the investigation, finding out what happened inside that car, if anything happened inside that car, or the forensic evidence in the car, or is it going to be finding where the scene of the crime actually took place and kind of working backwards really from there?
Well, working backwards is from the body, and the body will start. It basically points all the directional arrows, so to speak, on where to go, and then from there, obviously, they go into a forensic analysis of that car, and then, like I said, the most important piece of that car is that onboard computer, which has so much information that even Tesla owners don't know what the extent of the information that that car has on it, and I'm fairly confident that the owner of the car was sophisticated enough to know how to wipe or to get the information that's on that car.
Does it change anything? The tech car is like kind of like a smart car. And, I'm not as technologically savvy as you are,
Yeah,
Colin. I'm interested in knowing, does it change anything in terms of the investigation because the car was towed over into that impound lot? Does that change anything in terms of the data that might be on that car or anything like that?
No, I mean, what the
I
car is
know.
on, it's gathering thousands of data
So you
points.
think it is
Now,
worth
is it
it that
off?
I hide the other
Basically,
woman named Emma
you can presume
in my
that it was
channel?
on up until
You
time
know
was
what?
towed,
If you're
so they
here
know
and you're
where
a
to put
woman
the code for
and
that. So the
you're
towed part
supposed
is
to,
good cheating thing,
like,
other than chain of custody. So
um,
from the time
to
that it
boost the
was
confidence of the other
sitting there
woman, right?
until that
But yeah, I
point,
think she's not
48,
doing that.
42 weeks, they're going to be
She's
able to know
even
exactly where the
mocking,
car
like,
was,
is that
whether it was an
an
accident
old
due to
building?
even
Of
a
course, it
damage
is an old building.
that are taking
My
place.
house has been
So
built when I
they're
was
going to
seven
end up
years old, and
flagging
I am
who was in the car from
34
the time
years
that
old.
they
So
took
what
the
can I
photo.
expect? Like, what?
Okay,
Are you
yeah,
trying to mock
investigation
my
also
poverty?
and again,
You know?
very important because it kind of around the segregated because the car wasn't registered. And but say investigators learned, he has been
Hey,
cooperating with investigations and
so I think
any
that's worth
suspect or
it.
anything like that. But say investigators learned that he was out on tour or he was at an event or something, he has an alibi for the time frame that they believe the murder took place. What happens next in terms of how they find possibly who might outside
Well, they're also going to find her phone, possibly say whether the phone was on her or not, and then the phone obviously is, especially for a 15-year-old, her whole life is in that phone. So they're going to be able to establish a circle of friends, start interviewing all of those people, as well as interviewing all the people around this rapper to see this music artist to see if they know anything and they know what exactly happened. I mean, the bottom line is you don't crawl into a car and close the hood. Somebody would have to put her in that car, whether she was alive or dead when it happened. That will be something that the investigators will definitely find out. And I believe it happened in LAPD territory, and they're considered the best homicide investigators in the world. So I have an absolute certainty that they're going to determine who did this and what happened.
and even that whole other aspect, again, we're just learning this information pretty much today, is that she was reported missing about a year ago. How important is that time frame of when she was missing and how long of a period that was? How will that kind of play into her death investigation?
Yeah, that's why I said it's a local home, cause that's exactly what all the houses are like there, you know? Yeah, but you know what? We have an old house, right? And the governor is here. So when you say governor, it is a what is this? Um, like the head of the province is here, and my uncle is a mayor. So like I don't care so much about my house. I I care about people, as long as I help people, and then that's it. Like yeah, what is having huge house and then or nice house. Of course, I will renovate this one day. But yeah, um, having a huge house and you cannot see who is poor people, you're not living with the poor people. Then what? Like it means you don't know who are poor. You don't know who's the one that you can share your what is this like um your let's say you can share food with. Because if you see a lot of, if you're rich and you see a lot of rich people, then nah, what, like, how would you share them food when they have also their own food, right? So that is all. It's nice to be with less fortunate people, and I am in a little rank of it. Like, we are not really that poor, poor, poor. So at least I can extend my blessings to them. But yeah, some people are what so pretentious, they're just there to mock you, like for the win. They mock you, like for what? But and I did a lot of charity works. But yeah, as I tell you, there are people who are, pretentious. But I don't know where do they get their riches, right?
That family lost track for a year ago, but it still comes right
Yeah,
back to that car and
maybe they
what
get
was
their
going on
money
in the
out
car
of somewhere. I
prior
don't know.
to
Yeah, maybe because they
the
have
tow
like,
truck picking it up and then
what is this?
establish the
Um,
timeline. So in any investigation or violent crime investigation, the timeline is the most important. So they're
old
going to have
foreigner to
timelines
support
starting from
them,
when the car
right?
was found or when it was
But
reported,
sorry,
and
I
they'll
don't
go back
have.
24, 48, or even 2 weeks, and they'll be able to identify every place that car was and likely where she was. And that'll be with that, they'll be able to fill in the blanks and then identify who was involved in her death. Now, she may have not been killed. She may have died of a drug overdose. Somebody put her in the car. Either way, somebody's responsible for her being in that vehicle.
And so investigators and even her family are trying to find out what happened to her if they can gather any type of details to figure out what actually happened. Paula, I want to thank you so much for your time and your insight into this case. I did have one final question for you. In terms of investigating a case
But
like this,
yeah,
where you have very little to go off of, how different is it to
I got
investigate a
one
case like this
short,
now
and
in
I thought so. It
2025?
was
You have so many more
what
cameras,
is
you have
this? I
smart
thought so.
cars
It
that
was
gather all this technology and
um
information as opposed
a
to maybe
blouse and
like
a
20
short,
years ago
but it
where we
turns out
didn't have
not.
all the
So.
technology readily available like we do now.
Well, I think it kind of on its face, it appears cognitively that it should be easier, but in fact, it's actually harder because investigators are just overloaded with data and information. And at some point, AI would probably be taking a role with these kind of investigations to sift through the mountains of data that these investigators receive from their court orders to the Tesla or to the iPhone or wherever to kind of be able to filter out all the noise to be able to get to a point. 20 years ago, it was a matter of just going and interviewing people and getting their story. Now it's a whole different story with all these data points that investigators have to sift through.
And so with that being said, do you think that there might be a possibly end in sight in terms of the investigation anytime soon, or do you think that this might be a very long investigation?
Based upon it was in a Tesla, I would speculate that it's not going to be long. If it was in like a Mustang from the 60s that has no onboard computing ability, it would be kind of a different story. But like I said, that Tesla has so much data in it, and there's so many tools out there that the investigators are getting through that data. I expect that they likely will quickly know exactly what happened to that girl.
Sure. And I hope that they overall
And
again, Colin, thank you so much for your time and insight into this whole government.
Thank you.
And that's Regulators are still working to find Celeste's cause of death, but LAPD says they are investigating the case as a homicide. Again, data has not been publicly made with the suspect at the time of this report. Thanks so much for joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Elizabeth.
Yeah, so that's all. Yeah, but I don't matter. Like, you know, as long as I help people in need, like I don't care about of course, who doesn't like to renovate their houses, you know? But I have a lot of people, like I help my cousin to let their house um be renovated, right? I help also my other cousin that their house be renovated, and that's it. And I have people also if they cannot pay the bills, hospital bills. I help people if I help kids if they cannot afford, like their parents cannot afford to sustain their uniforms, school uniforms. I help those. I think that is more important. And I help those people whom I just newly met and I know that they're starving along the way, then that's it. But my house, maybe one day. Basically those type of person like they're just jealous and they pretend themselves that they are very nosy like what my god. Good.
Entire interaction was odd, but thankfully, officers soon arrived on scene and were able to begin trying to piece together what exactly was going on. Your call, man? Alright.
Thank you.
Okay. Is this your address here? Alright. Okay, what's that? Have you got any problems with anybody? Okay. Anything unusual?
Jesus Christ.
Do you live by yourself? Okay. The father of the child? Not in real life? Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry, father of the child? He's here? He's in Alabama. Okay. So, any problems with anyone else? Or any custody issues?
She's a Marine.
No? Okay. Has she done this before as far as anything like try to leave or get out or mess with lots like that? Okay. Show me which door was locked or unlocked. Was the back door? Okay. You're saying that or? Okay. Why'd you move in? Okay, when did you actually move in? In June or?
My god, how old is the child?
Today's Wednesday. Okay. Should you move in, let's say, over the weekend? Sure. Alright. Alright. Actually, Briana and Taylor had only moved in 3 days ago on November 3rd. Apparently, since June, Briana had been paying rent on two properties, this house and an apartment across town. Police would get into the details of why she would want to do this later, because as you can see, she seemed more interested in her phone.
Oh my god, it's
Does not go to school. And we last saw her at midnight. Who normally takes care of her when you're out? Where's your mom at? Well, I'm just saying, she's not in school, like daycare wise. Where she go? So she's about to pick up a Halloween. Halloween was actually a week ago, so she didn't exactly just pick her up. Grandma. What's that? Officers managed to get Briana off her phone long enough for her to share contact details for Taylor's grandmother and biological father. Both Taylor's grandmother and biological father would need to be followed up with, but right now, the focus was kept local. Law enforcement from all over the city started to arrive on Ivy Street as several of the first responders searched the
My God,
house,
it's still a
but they didn't
baby.
find any obvious evidence. They definitely noticed a few things out of place. She had a friend. One of them. But I never out this. Boys, see where there was notes out. Okay. Shotgun out, pistol out, and there's an empty holster in the kitchen area. Taylor's bed, a pair of slippers, and an open box of crackers were found in one of the bedrooms. Her jacket and backpack were in the kitchen, next to a pack of unopened air fresheners. Besides this, though, there was nothing. No toys, no drawings, no family photos. The police likely had to wonder if this was just a reflection of the recent move, or possibly something more sinister. When looking closely at Taylor's bed, police noticed a reddish-brown substance on the side of the plastic headboard. A similar stain was found on the bedroom door. Fearing it could be blood, they did a quick field test called hemodem, which
Yeah,
tests for the presence of mammal blood. The result was negative, but the
thanks,
officers would keep the stain in mind as the investigation continued. Investigators looked through every inch of the house, but didn't find the little girl. Besides being unlocked, the back door showed no signs of forced entry or other damage. Back outside with Briana, the officers thought of another place to search. Is this your vehicle? You open it up? Does she have a favorite toy or anything like that? Does she want to take with her? That's the bear? There were more signs of the little girl in the car than inside the house, including a pink unicorn in the back seat. Something about the car, though, made the officer pause.
No.
For some reason, the officer felt the need to give the car a sniff test. When looking inside, police also found some cleaning products and a pair of women's sneakers covered in plant matter. They also might have noticed that while the body of the car was perfectly tidy, unfortunately, the police wouldn't know the significance of this until a more in-depth search of the car was conducted. For now, it was as if Taylor had simply vanished into thin air. All units be on the lookout for Taylor Rose Williams. Bravo Foxtrot, approximately 3 foot in height, 50 pounds. She was wearing a pink and purple t-shirt. Determined to find Taylor, the police launched a neighborhood-wide search effort. Ivy Street, as well as multiple adjacent roads, were taped off. Canine units were deployed to track Taylor's scent, but were unsuccessful. Even a helicopter was used to canvass the area. With an equally frustrating lack of results, an Amber Alert was sent out, asking people to be on the lookout for Taylor. Unfortunately, the first attempt used the wrong name, claiming that the missing child was named Briana. This was corrected in a subsequent alert. This is a picture of the young lady. The little girl here. I saw him the other day, but I never seen him kid. Never saw a kid. Huh. All trash refuse that had already been removed from the trucks and spread out for police to comb through. This would eventually provide the most promising lead, but it was just going to take time and a strong stomach to find it. It would take quite a while for officers to find anything of substance as they canvassed the neighborhood, though. So for the time being, the investigation proceeded in other directions, too. Briana was brought in for an interview, and police hoped she could give them a better idea of how her 5-year-old daughter managed to apparently drop off the face of the earth. The following footage has been analyzed by a qualified team, including a licensed professional counselor, a former detective, licensed polygraph examiner, and former hostage negotiation commander and instructor, and a certified crime scene investigator, certified instructor from the State of Florida Commission on Criminal Justice Standards, and a graduate in crime scene investigations for violent crime. All Almost immediately, it looks like she gets comfortable, as if she's ready for a nap. Her daughter has been missing for hours, yet she doesn't appear panicked. Frequently, when a child is missing, a lot of officers' efforts have to go towards calming a parent down. But clearly, here, this was just the beginning of Brianna's strange behavior. After almost 45 minutes, detectives arrive to speak
Hello.
with Brianna,
I'm watching
disrupting her
again
now
a crime
peaceful
scene.
slumber.
Hi, Brianna. Back again. You alright? Anything? Water? Anything? You okay? You took the rest of anything? You good? You sure? So, you know, stuff like turkey that. I'm gonna, talk to what missing persons here, right? Well, based on the investigation of the age of your child and everything going on, they hold, I'm gonna also detective, but I'm assigned to a cold case unit, which also has, I'm part of the card, which is the child protection fund. So, I don't wanna stress you out on that.
Yeah, maybe it's just a drama because she doesn't like, or maybe just to pretend that the baby is gone so that the father will no longer contact with the baby. And it seems like she's from an army, and the husband also like ex-husband or the father, eh, also an army or military. So basically, they know um what is this like the law.
Okay, we're doing everything we can. We got everybody out there looking for. Okay, we've got everything going, but I want to make sure we cover everything. As detectives continued to speak with Brianna, officers worked relentlessly and spoke with the residents in the vicinity. She's missing. The little girl's missing. You remember seeing the little girl here? Yeah. And the second person said that.
And in fact, like she's 7 years old. Like, how could I don't know? Not in my culture. Like, we will not leave our baby, let's say 7 year old, 6 years old child, in her room alone. You know, still a baby. You know.
Morning, sorry to bother you. Hey, we're looking for a little girl. If you see a 5-year-old,
And see, it's even
wearing
5 year old.
purple short row. Never seen it before. No, I don't think that's her at all. After these introductions, Brianna was read her Miranda rights, though she wasn't under arrest. Okay, so Brianna, like I said, you were gonna talk to like you were then. Let's just start from the very beginning. Okay? I think you got to speak a little bit louder so it's clear. My alarm went off at 5:30, and my dad was like around like a little before 6. And then I just went on there like dressed so just tearing out.
Maybe she forget that she did not bring her child.
So I didn't bother my messages.
Yeah. Huh? That happens far too much nowadays. What do you mean? That you will have to leave your kid in her room when she's 5 years old sleeping? My God, baby is 5 year old.
As the officers continued their interviews, one of the residents had curious information to share.
Yeah.
We got out of here about 5:30 o'clock this morning. Right when they tried to put up the tape on. That's the black rail? You think it's about 20s and 30s? Maybe like, he's been living here by himself. And this place is 8 now. Black rail 20 ish. Probably about 28. But yeah, this place is 8. The officer ran a background check on this suspicious individual who lived near the house where Brianna and Taylor just moved. As this was happening, investigators continued to gather more information from Brianna. Okay, so then you went to her.
Maybe the father's here. Oy.
She was very well mannered, like we still not going, and come in. Okay. And I checked in, I got in, I put my closet for a minute. So then I just started checking the cabinet. And maybe I was gonna go outside. And I checked my closet just to be, be sure that, I definitely didn't use anything in the car. Okay. So, I was gonna use the car, she wasn't there either.
Note that there's no real emotion in Brianna's voice as she talks about looking for her child.
Okay, then what?
Meh.
Yeah.
Maybe she was trying to um
Okay.
to report, like saying, if you will have to get my child, then I will report you to the police, woman.
Brianna said that Taylor put herself to bed around midnight. While this wasn't impossible, the late hour and Taylor's alleged independence likely struck investigators as unusual given her age. However, this was nothing compared to the strange turn Brianna's story took next.
Did you check on her prior to going to sleep? Okay, so you assume that he was asleep. Did you hear any noise coming from her room or anything like that? Not from her room, but there was like I was checking the thing, like there was like when you dragging something or you doing something, but it was kind of from upstairs. And either way, like I just get on the line and walk around to make sure they there's nobody
Yeah.
coming up the
People,
house.
especially if they're so smart, and then if they're fighting, and then they will have to say, if you will be here like this, and I call the police, and.
Yeah, like the little whatever noise it was.
Yeah.
Like it changes. Like sometimes I hear like near where I sleep. Sometimes it's like back towards the kitchen area.
But anyway, Jesus Christ, if it's a baby girl, if it's 5 years old, then you should have to sleep like in her arms. You should still have to hug her. My God, I got a daughter, 7 years old. She likes, like baby scratch, like mama scratch on her back before she go to sleep.
Brianna said that she didn't see anything amiss when she searched the house and that all the doors were still locked. Still, if she was alarmed enough to arm herself before walking through the house, it makes no sense that she wouldn't take a few seconds to check on her sleeping child. Some of the officers and residents shared a similar sentiment. I hope they exhausted the parental angle. You know what I'm saying? Knocking on every door we can. Okay, now she was missing. Yeah, purple PJs on. The back door is always on.
Ah,
Right.
So, if you heard the noise, why did you say it was she got bars and holding those closets like around her, but are they laid out like that? So she not knowing like where she is not so like I said, absolutely get my nose like this.
Police left the matter alone for the time being and switched to a
namatay.
different topic. Once again, the conversation didn't go as they were likely expecting.
What do you think happened?
Mm, I think they're fighting. Oh, yeah. And that she'll remember that for life too.
The Mr. Bear
Yeah.
angle was potentially helpful, as it was something the searchers could keep a lookout for. By this point, police were likely realizing that something was seriously wrong. What that was exactly remained to be seen.
And how long did you live at that stop sign? And why were you moving? Because I want to move to a different area. Like I always do.
What'd she say?
Like I didn't look at me. Like in the
The Mr. Bear angle was potentially helpful, as it was something the searchers could keep a lookout for. By this point, police were likely realizing that something was seriously wrong. What that was exactly remained to be seen.
were you there prior to this experience? And how long did you live at that stop sign? why were you moving? Because I want to move to a different area. Like I always do, like it is to me, like I live in North Carolina, like I live in this okay.
Yeah, I know.
So when was your lease up at the Southside? And so your lease was up in May, but you were still living there? Yes, it was up, it went to month to month. Because I was supposed to put in a notice in one, 60-day notice, and I kept getting put it in.
Briana also said that as she was preparing to move to the house on Ivy Street, a large problem with the residents became evident.
But I would actually like find the business out, and I went back walking around on the 4th of July to like up to the Ivy, and that's when I saw like the back door was open, and like somebody had moved the pretty outside. What brought me there is that I thought maybe you know, but I know, but we went there and she said. So for 6 months, you had two residents. Yeah. What 3 days ago made you need to leave urgently if you were there for six? If you had both places for 6 months. That was the day that I actually was like, it was but that was the whole issue that like we're stuck in nothing so acting around and like, that's just don't work. But you're trying to come up with credit, right?
Dopamine Master, hey, I love your accent. Yes, I'm from the Philippines. How about you? Is it a compliment or it is an insult?
Didn't seem to cross her mind what they would find when they searched for other residents too would leave them
Yeah, you know what? Because if you're here just to mock me, then you can really go, right? You can really live. Yeah.
I haven't texted everything. Like those and stuff, looking for those together. So what was the urgency? Why couldn't you wait to find a mover once you had everything packed up and ready to go so that you can move everything in one go? We're gonna call the movers, we're gonna call your mom, I'm gonna verify some information. Okay. And then there's the here. Okay. So the movers, it was pretty abrupt. We got that house back Sunday, according to the conversation that some of my friends had with the like because what was the urgency?
Hello, dopamine. From where are you? It's kind of medicine. Well, I work in a hospital before.
nothing Briana said making sense, and it's hard to believe you would think that his nature was a leader, but they don't confront her. Yes.
Everybody take care of your department and stuff. Oh, that's how you get to the scene.
When police checked with the daycare on base, the administration office told them that Taylor had last been there on April 27th and was officially withdrawn shortly after. They also shared that Taylor had previously been in speech therapy.
Oh,
When police checked in at the therapist's office, they likely noticed a concerning pattern. Taylor had attended regularly for 13 but then never came back. After two no-show appointments, she was discharged from the system at the beginning of May.
And I take you to preparation.
oh yes, I'm from the Philippines. Thank you for coming here, my friend.
And how long was your preparation? When she go there, so you went down there to pick her up, but and brought her back here for 1 day. It was I did not believe it. I didn't believe it. So you bring her back on the 31st. How long that is? So the 4 months you stayed in October and June, correct. And prior to driving her down in October 1st, when did you, what did you do in
Yes,
October?
I'm from the Philippines, my friend.
Like, those two days that you know, you know, the other was 20, you were on the house for days, like you last call. 20 days. 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 20 days
Oh, that's nice. And so, are you what? Am I what? Yeah, it's raining.
Briana or Clarissa was yet to be determined. Investigators would follow up on the Alabama lead, but as promised, also caught up with the movers Briana had hired on Craigslist. They had nothing reassuring to say either.
They never saw you that. They never saw you put her on the call. They never saw her at the other house. They never saw it. Why is that? Why not? Well, I mean, not introducing her, but not introducing her at the house on Southside and then go to Ivy without it. They never saw it. They never saw you put her on the call. So what happened? Well, where was your daughter? I'll show you the numbers. The two neighbors are saying that they never saw it. They heard water running and you said that she was in there, but they never saw it.
If what the movers were saying was true, it seemed like Taylor hadn't been at either of Briana's residences. Clarissa said she hadn't seen the girl in 2 years, and the child care records on the Navy base showed that Taylor's attendance became spotty throughout the month of April, and she was officially withdrawn back in May, around 6 months before she was reported missing. A new horrifying question was quickly coming to the forefront of the investigation. When was the last time anyone besides Briana had seen Taylor? Shockingly, the little girl's mother wasn't inclined to help answer this question.
I don't know. Still I don't know because you're lying to me now. So now I'm lying. You're not lying. I'm just asking my mom. I'm literally asking my mom. I'm just saying my mind on yourself. But I want to explain to you that I don't know where to get it from because this is went down here. You want to talk to me? You want to talk to me? So I just focus on it and you get back. Find out what the information I gave you. I don't know what this is going to I'm very, But at the same time, I just had like some other way of like saying stuff that I didn't even say, like she was fixing words.
Briana has no idea that her odd behavior was quickly becoming the least of the police's concern as they were searching her apartment at that very moment. Just like they'd done at Ivy Street, police canvassed the area and talked to Briana's neighbors. Disturbingly, very few of them recalled ever seeing the little girl. One man who did, named Carlos Johnson, said he found Taylor roaming the apartment complex unaccompanied back on April 17, 2019, looking for her mother. He took her home only to find her wandering the parking lot again a few days later. Carlos said that Taylor didn't appear frightened or distressed, like the situation was familiar to her. He also told police that he would see her waving at him from her window at times when Briana's car was gone, suggesting to him that the little girl was alone. If police thought this was bad, then they must have been horrified when they entered the apartment itself. From the outside, Briana's apartment was unassuming and looked just like any of the others in the complex, but as soon as the door was open, it was clear that something awful had happened inside. The entryway to the apartment was filled with trash, as was the kitchen. It was so cluttered with random items and refuse that it was nearly unusable. The living room was not in any better condition, having been taken over by a heaping mountain of trash and personal belongings. It seemed that no effort had been made to separate the two categories. There were children's toys and clothing included in the mess, most stained with what appeared feces. One of the toys in particular probably stood out to police, thanks to Briana's description. A pink stuffed animal was found in a mountain of refuse, possibly Mr. Bear. The toy Briana said Taylor refused to go anywhere without. Police would face a heartbreaking reason why Mr. Bear was there as they searched more of the apartment. Bleach and urine remover, along with more air fresheners, were also found in the apartment. If police thought the living room and kitchen were in bad condition, they were in for a shock when they entered the master bedroom. Police had to move more trash and soiled belongings to even gain entry into the room. The carpet was encrusted with filth, which appeared to include more human waste. When they opened the closet, the situation changed from merely disgusting to horrific.
Which is what is there, but not anything for the day. I just want to be home. And I said, well, the whole thing, because there's no way my mom would say that. And that's what I'm asking you. Do you want to continue to talk to us about what's going on? Not right now. No. This is going to be fun. The whereabouts of your daughter? I don't know. I'm trying to get the background. Yes or no? No, like, I don't know. We don't like my mom. Okay. You want to enter in something, but you don't want to have to. Okay. I ain't from the well, that. You need anything like a bathroom or water or anything like that. Okay, you need water, you need a bathroom or anything like that right now. If you need anything else, knock on the door.
The detectives would revisit Briana in a bit, but went to check in on other aspects of the investigation. By this time, it was no longer just the Jacksonville police involved in the search. They'd been joined by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Department, the Alabama Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and even the Naval Criminal Investigation Service, or NCIS. Additionally, the neighborhood canvass around Ivy Street continued the whole time Briana was at the police station. Just before 10:30 p.m., officers in the area ran into a surprise visitor.
Ah,
that way. So it's networks. No, your relation. But
Back at the police department, Briana was
Absolutely talking about me. Okay, do you need water, do you need a bathroom or anything like that right now? If you need anything else, knock on the door.
the detectives would revisit Briana in a bit, but went to check in on other aspects of the investigation. By this time, it was no less the Jacksonville police involved in the search. They'd been joined by the Jacksonville Sheriff's, the Alabama Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and even the Naval Criminal Investigation Service, or NCIS. Additionally, the neighborhood canvass around Ivy Street continued the whole time Briana was at the police station. Just before 10:30 p.m., officers in the area ran into a surprise visitor.
Go down that way. So it's networks. No, your relation. But
Back at the police department, Briana was still in the interrogation room. If she was worried about her daughter or even concerned about what police might find when searching, In her apartment, she did a fantastic job of hiding it. She was left waiting but found a few ways to help pass the time, including fixing her nails, redoing her hair, and going to sleep. 4 more hours went by, during which Briana again attempted to get some sleep in the interrogation room.
I'll get some answers for you. You just gotta have to need your patience for now. We're all kind of sitting around and working diligently. Not really sitting around doing nothing, but I'll get some answers for you, okay? Yes, I do believe so. So, I know, just be patient, please.
Unluckily, when a fresh set of detectives came in, it seemed 8 hours of timeout hadn't made Briana any more cooperative.
Yeah, it's a good book. A couple things we do. It's pretty dope. However, you have to be able to go back to Ivy Street or Southside tonight. We still have your phone. So, what do you need to contact, or they take you somewhere, or what do you what's the best option for you?
Briana never came up with any options of her own, so the police called her command, who sent a petty officer from the base to come pick her up. Notably, over a total of more than 11 hours spent at the police station, Briana never once asked for an update on the search for her daughter. When Briana's mother Carissa heard about her daughter's lack of cooperation, she was perplexed.
Why wouldn't she want to go?
You know her better than I do.
Because some of the things, a lot of I can't say some of the things, a lot of the things is not in it.
Investigators also asked Carissa some questions about Briana's personality in general to see if it would help make sense of her odd behavior.
How is she like an emotional person?
If she shut down, is she like getting too much?
No, I'm just saying there's something traumatic happened that she wanted to show emotions. So even after you don't get on the phone, I would see that.
But she didn't cry.
Yeah,
Briana was reportedly very close to her maternal grandmother, who had raised Briana for a large portion of her childhood. The fact that Briana did not express grief at the time of her death may have stood out to police as eerily similar to her behavior in the interrogation room. Investigators also learned that Briana was known to visit her grandmother's gravesite in Alabama regularly. So regularly, in fact, that more than one friend suggested the police search that area for Taylor too. And that's exactly what they did. Over the next week, the search expanded from Jacksonville, Florida to the area surrounding Linden, Alabama. Before Carissa's interview concluded, police had one last question for her, probably the hardest one yet.
If she did something like that, what she said,
The investigation continued on for the rest of the week. The mounting evidence police collected was far from reassuring. None of it, however, led them to Taylor. Growing desperate, police decided to try talking to Briana a different way. Since Briana's father, Wayne, had been cooperative so far, detectives asked them to make a controlled call to Briana to see if he could learn anything. It didn't go well.
Yeah, I just think, one, anything you remember, that anybody look feel wrong or anything, you know somebody might have. You know everything with your phone? Okay, what's in your phone? Okay. Like what would help us? Like what we need to find. You know what I'm saying? No, if you tell me that, I can call them. I forgot to text the number about the text they don't. I can call him and tell him what to look for in your phone. Yeah, but
Briana's annoyance raises a host of red flags. What she did next, though, stood out the most.
say everything's in your phone, but what else can it do? Yeah, but I can't really show it.
Police had better luck when they recruited two of Briana's closest friends, Chelsea and Dorielle, to also try and make a controlled call.
Hey, how you doing? Okay. You just been resting today? Yeah. Well, come over. Chief said anything to you today? No.
She called and asked if I needed something to come to her, but that was it.
You ain't talk to your neighbor?
No. Yeah. No.
Do you go back?
Yeah.
Is your mama gonna come?
I have no clue.
You're so quiet. You miss us already.
No.
You don't miss us?
I miss her. Just because you can't. Touchdown.
Anything been on your mind, man? You have anything on your mind, man?
No.
With Taylor's disappearance so fresh in everyone's minds, there had to be a reason that the case wasn't weighing on Briana, as was becoming typical. She didn't seem inclined to share what that reason was.
Like, ain't no, like, coverage on Taylor no more. Like, everything kind of, like, died down. Like, we, like, super kind of nervous that they just come and, like, the people didn't forgot. Like, basically, they just, like, they moving on in the world. And
What? They just gonna forget her?
we need you to say something because, like, that's the only thing I feel like that'll bring, like, some light back to her story. Some.
We really just want to know just what's going on. We still, like, you know, we're going to be there for you. So we want to be there because we want to know what's going on for that closure.
I don't even know what's going on.
You think that you ain't heard nothing?
No, like nobody talked to me. Like, the only time I call, I mean, like, on what y'all doing, I'm doing, I don't know, like, I'm pretty sure my chief is doing it to make sure I'm not, I didn't off myself, because he called, like, very randomly. People coming knocking on the door, like, oh, you're not going to let us work, bro, you know what room this is. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Especially you're the CEO, too, like, you're the, the stewardess person.
Yeah.
I know why you're here. Don't act like, you just popped up here.
Time would soon reveal that the Navy command had been more on top of things than anyone could have imagined. Briana's co-workers weren't the only ones who'd been attempting to check up on her.
Did your mama come down there? Because she had told us that, well, she had told her daddy that she was coming down there yesterday. She been coming since Wednesday.
Everybody say she's been coming since the day that it happened.
Like, she just,
Like, I've given up on her. Like, I don't know what the hell going on.
I think you might need to ask her, like, why y'all story is different. Why you saying that if she, you know, she really was, what, like, what that's about? You need to ask her that.
Do you think I'm getting trapped?
I don't know, but you don't want at least one of them. What you think?
like, what is her
I
reason?
mean, I do, but do y'all really believe she's gonna tell the truth? She hasn't told the truth yet.
I don't know what her reason is for this, to keep the lie going for so long. Just,
I mean, it's too late now. She can't backtrack.
Chelsea and Doriel then asked Briana about the possibility of there being evidence in the apartment she left when she moved to the house on Ivy Street.
Do you think it's something maybe in an old apartment that they'll find that'll help? Like,
No, because if they did, they would have found her. Remember, they closed out both of them. They closed out the 3 days, 4 days, I don't know what you mean.
Police had, in fact, found shocking evidence in Briana's apartment, specifically the bedroom closet. Briana had to have guessed what they found, but still chose to remain silent on the matter.
so Brianna, you hadn't thought about like her just being out there by herself. You know she's scared of everything. Like that, you don't think about that.
Girl, I don't want to think about that right now.
Well, I've been thinking about it.
Okay, then don't think about that.
It's cold. That's kind of why I think I can't sleep knowing that it's, and you know how innocent she was. Like she really clings to the people she knows. I think that's why it eats up so much.
Hauntingly, Briana's only response was silence.
if you think it's a good idea, would you be okay talking to the secretary?
Yes.
The same one you want to leave?
Oh, yeah, no, not that lady.
Okay, Brian, that's what I was gonna ask you, man.
Based on Briana's lack of cooperation and some other concerning evidence that would be addressed soon, police decided to place her under round-the-clock surveillance. It didn't take long for this to pay off. Early on November 11th, just 5 days after Taylor went missing, Briana was seen donating some of Taylor's belongings. This included stuffed animals, clothes, and even some unopened packages of toys.
Wait.
Around the same time, the efforts of all the officers digging through countless heaps of trash finally paid off. They stumbled upon a box addressed to Briana, along with certificates from the Navy with her name on them. This wasn't what they were most interested in, however. Also in the trash were several notes from the daycare center on the Navy base, requesting a change of clothes and a toothbrush for Taylor. In the trash, police also found several art projects, which police assumed had been made by Taylor. One of the projects was a handmade card from Taylor to her mother. Why Briana didn't want these items, especially when her daughter was missing, was a mystery. There was also still the issue of what was discovered in the closet in Briana's apartment. To say it was disturbing would be a massive understatement. One of the first things investigators noticed was a foul odor emanating from the space. It was impossible to say if this was a result of more feces found inside or the mysterious stains covering the walls and carpets. It seems a minor effort had been made to control the smell by sprinkling baking soda on the rug. Police took multiple DNA swabs from the inside of the closet, collecting samples from the walls, floors, and each stain. It would take time to receive DNA results, so they also conducted a field test to determine if any of the stains were human blood. Dismayingly, while the swabs didn't immediately indicate blood, many of the stains on the walls reacted when sprayed with luminol. Fearing the worst, police opted to have a cadaver dog brought to the apartment. However, the smell of feces and trash was so overwhelming that the dog was unable to effectively alert. Police resorted to ripping out the carpet from the closet and taking it outside. In the fresh air, the dog was much more effective and alerted on the carpet right away, indicating that at least some of the stains came from human remains. This wasn't the only area that got a response. When cadaver dogs were brought to Briana's car, they alerted in no less than 3 areas: the driver's seat, the rear seats, and trunk. When police took a closer look at the trunk of the car, they noticed that there was an unknown whitish residue on the interior. They also found a broken fingernail and an air freshener jammed into the trunk lid, which likely came from the package found in the Ivy Street house. The vehicle had a pervasive scent of cleaning chemicals. Despite the car wash, they also located some reddish dirt on the underside of the vehicle that matched the soil on the dirt road in Alabama. There was now no way to deny it. This was no longer a missing persons case, but rather an investigation with death. Brianna's mother had feared this outcome all along.
What's the thing? What do you think is wrong?
Oh, to be honest, I think she's bad. Just a snitch.
Go along and look at the description.
I never knew.
Are you aware of it? Or
Me?
you aware of it?
Jesus Christ.
I was thinking probably when you say you're you aware of everyone? What makes you think you feel?
The obvious thing is keeping in her bed. He is so, he just said, she gets angry and like to think of things every time till his girl saying thank you and she got so mad that she blocked him. And also she
Police plan to place Briana under arrest on November 12th, following a final gruesome discovery. The charges she faced at this time were child neglect and providing false information to law enforcement officials. Her chief was sent to pick her up on base and bring her to the police station for booking. However, no matter what he may have expected, what happens next is so shocking, it must have shaken him to the core.
Hate watch that and stuff like that on there. And I hate going back and forth with it, but things going on. But now they're saying that you're a person of interest. Man, open up. Oh, yeah. Fast napkin. Something over.
Welcome.
Yeah, okay.
It was quickly becoming obvious that something was wrong with Briana, but the chief could not have possibly predicted how dire the situation was about to become. There was only so long the chief could wait for a coherent answer before he decided he needed to take action, and it wasn't a moment too soon, because what was coming would likely stay with him for the rest of his career, if not his life. Just minutes later, as the pair were en route to the hospital, the worst happened.
Fucking shit. Fast. The chief arrived at the Navy base emergency room just moments after Brianna's massive seizure, and she was still deemed to be in critical condition. There was only so much the doctors could do without knowing what was wrong with her. Briana slipped into a coma and was placed on life support. Her condition was determined to be unstable, while Brianna's fate was up in the air. Elsewhere, other questions pertaining to the investigation were finally being answered. Police finished downloading the GPS data from Brianna's car. It confirmed what they suspected based on her phone records, showing that she had made 3 back-and-forth trips to the Linden, Alabama area between October 31st and the very early hours of November 3rd. Police retrieved video of Briana getting gas along the route she took, though it was impossible to tell if Taylor was in the car with her due to the vehicle's tinted windows. They also found evidence that Briana had stopped at a car wash on November 4th. Security footage from the business didn't show anyone else in the car with her.
Most significantly, the GPS proved that Brianna's mother, Carissa, had been telling the truth. The GPS showed that while Brianna had gotten close to her mother's residence, she had not driven there. It also showed that on her final trip to Alabama, she'd spent almost 20 minutes on an out-of-the-way dirt road and wasn't far from the cemetery where Brianna's grandmother was buried. Obviously, police wanted to know why, and assembled a search team consisting of police, medical professionals, and dogs to go and search just outside Linden, Alabama for themselves. The area was divided into quadrants to be excavated and sifted through, while a cadaver dog searched the area. It didn't take long for the investigators to uncover some tragic results. Partially buried in a shallow grave, police found a trash bag wrapped in a shower curtain containing a children's t-shirt covered in decomposition stains. But it was about to get worse. Just yards away, the first bones and bone fragments were found. Most of the skull was found a short distance away, along with a clump of human hair that might have been Taylor's. The remains had been scattered and seriously damaged by animal activity. As a result, police were only able to recover a small portion of what they suspected to be Taylor's body. However, they would have to wait on DNA testing to prove it, since the remains were almost completely skeletal. Police were pretty sure about how the body came to be in Alabama, but the only person who could confirm their theory was Briana, and she remained in critical condition. A search of Briana's quarters on the Navy base led investigators to believe that Briana had ingested laundry detergent. Once they knew what they were treating her for, doctors were able to more effectively intervene and saved Briana's life. Once she was discharged from the hospital, she was brought back to the police station and given one more chance to tell her side of the story.
Do you drink coffee, Anthony? You want coffee? Soda, water, nothing? Okay.
Just like before, Brianna quickly made herself as comfortable as possible and appeared to try to go to sleep. This time, though, she only had to wait about 20 minutes before detectives came in to talk with her.
Yeah. Good morning. Alright, just let me go some paperwork again, okay? Then I'm gonna go over the rest of your rights with you, okay? And I want you to just acknowledge that you understand. You do not have to make a statement or say anything. You understand that? I'm gonna need a yes or no, okay? Is that a yes? Okay.
The detectives advised Brianna of the rest of her rights once again.
Hey Brianna, did the nurse assist you with your throat issue that you were telling me about at the hospital?
A little bit. Does it feel better today? Not complete. Are you normally just quiet all the time, real low key, don't do a lot of talking? I am too, I'm kind of shy. Can you tell? Can you tell? First of all, we need to have a good conversation, so I'm gonna need you to sit up, do that thing over there, stop leaning on that wall and talk to me, okay? Look at me when we're talking. We've had an investigation going for a while. Our investigation has led us to some things in Alabama, okay? And what we need to do today with you is we need to talk about what's going on out there. Now, where in Alabama are you from? Are you from Alabama? Is that a yes? You gotta say yes or no for me, okay? I can't have a head dialogue and we can't have misunderstanding. Are you from Alabama? You don't want to talk? Okay. You're tired? You don't want to talk? So you don't want to talk to the police at all? Okay.
With that anticlimactic end to the interview, Brianna followed her pattern of behavior throughout the case and went back to sleep. Ultimately, police didn't need Brianna's cooperation in order to answer their remaining questions. 4 days after this failed attempt to speak with Brianna, on November 25th, DNA testing proved the remains found in the Alabama woods belonged to Taylor. As a result, Brianna was now facing charges of murder. Due to the poor condition of the remains and the fact that the searchers were only able to recover about 10% of Taylor's skeleton, it was impossible to determine a cause of death. However, analysis of her tooth enamel and skull showed evidence of serious malnutrition. They also couldn't provide an exact time of death and were only able to say that the little girl had passed anywhere from several weeks to several months ago, between May and November 2019. Given that the rate of decomposition is dependent on the size of the human and environmental factors, decomposition can start as early as 24 hours after death or as late as 72 hours after death. In conditions where the body isn't exposed to the sun and is in a climate controlled environment, it would take at least 4 weeks for the body to begin to skeletonize. In this particular case, Taylor was a small, malnourished child and covered with a plastic shower curtain. This would slow down the rate of decomposition by locking in moisture and protecting the remains from bugs and direct sunlight. The issue of knowing the rate of decomposition in this case is the variable of animal activity, which could expose the remains to the elements at different rates. If her remains had no indication of animal activity, were wrapped in plastic and placed in the shallow grave shortly after time of death, it could take over 30 days to begin to see skeletonization. It's a very real possibility that the little girl starved to death, locked in a closet by her mother, and left to waste away in filth. The reason for the stains on the closet walls would remain a mystery, though, without a determined cause of death. In September 2022, Briana pled guilty to second-degree murder. Though her attorney repeatedly requested she face a reduced sentence due to her exemplary military record, she was sentenced to life in prison. Though her incarceration will do nothing to bring her daughter back, at least justice for the innocent little girl was served.
Buang.